Okay, so we are just, we're still recovering. All of us are still recovering. So we are processing, and we firstly want to say thank you so much to everyone that's been so supportive. We've been getting so many beautiful messages, and yeah, it's really nice. It's really nice. And I know we've also had trolls, but we're not really focusing on them. I think a lot of us have had our nervous systems just fried. Like, I know mine feels really fried, especially Thursday night was possibly the worst night of my life. But the thing is that it was such a contrast of emotions, because there was just so much uncertainty. And in the end, it was the happiest ending. That it's just so much to process. And one day there will be a documentary made about what happened, and it'll probably could even be like a series. And by the time you're done looking at it, there will be no doubt in anyone's mind that something was planned for Friday. And what I have learned is that the one regret that I have was not having enough faith, because you could see that on the Thursday I was really doubting that we could really make an impact, and I was doubting that exposing a plot could actually foil it. And it's what we realize is that we have so much more control of our reality than we're made to believe. And yeah, I just have so much more faith going forward. And thousands of people were able to see what we saw. And even though there's a lot of these trolls that have just sort of come out of nowhere, haven't looked at anything, they just want to attack and say, oh, you should apologize because you were wrong. It's like we literally crucified ourselves to bring the darkness into the light, to bring what was subliminal into conscious awareness. And it obviously had an effect. And anyone who denies that with an open mind will one day see, because there's so much to catch up on. If you've just jumped on here a week ago or a couple of days ago, you can't possibly be across it. There is months of symbolism that has come through, and there's some of you that just want to attack us as individuals. What you don't understand is that we are part of a massive community of people that saw the symbolism. So when you attack us, you're attacking thousands of people. And the thing is that the symbolism that we saw was so abundant, and it's still streaming in. And for years to come, it will still come streaming in. For years to come, because the symbolism spans over decades, and people are still messaging me, all day, like with seeing stuff that we didn't even get a chance to see before Friday, that we didn't get a chance to expose. And this will go on for years to come. This is really just the beginning. And the other thing is that, a lot of you were saying like that you were worried about our safety and all this stuff. And I was saying to you that there's nothing to worry about. And obviously there wasn't anything to worry about. We're fine. Like, nothing's happened to us. So we haven't had media attack us. We haven't had authorities coming at us. We haven't had anything happen. The only thing we've had coming at us is our own people.
Truly.
Which is exactly how I knew it was going to play out. Because guys, we're playing a different game. If you're someone that identifies yourself as part of like the truther community or the freedom community, it's probably time to start rethinking your identity. in the community, because it's a merry-go-round. It's a false light merry-go-round. And what we've been doing in the Truther community and the freedom community for years is we've been fighting a spiritual battle on a physical level. What we're doing now is we're fighting a spiritual battle on the spiritual level. And this is why we're protected. This is why nothing bad's happening to us. So it's like going up from level 1 to level 3. There's a good example in the series Three Body Problem, where one of the main characters, she solves the problem. So they go into like a VR reality where their nervous systems are actually connected. So it feels so real, this virtual reality, you know, this sort of like video game. It feels so real because they can smell and they can touch and they can taste, just like this matrix, just like this simulation that we're in. And so to get to the next level, they have to solve a problem. And finally she gets it right. She solves it. She solves the problem. And the first thing that happens before she gets rewarded and gets to go to the next level, the first thing that happens is she first gets like sort of crucified by the religious people in the virtual reality game, and they call her a heretic. And so she first has to be sort of punished by them before the sort of like, I can't remember what it was, like the AI or whatever it was, comes in and says, congratulations, you passed, you go to the next level. And it's just, that's what it feels like. It feels like we caught it, and now we're being crucified by, you know, people that have come out of nowhere. They haven't looked at anything. They've just jumped on the hating bandwagon, and they have not across any of it at all. They're just like, you guys made up some sort of prediction and it didn't come true, so you need to apologize. It's the weirdest thing, because it wasn't a prediction, guys. I've been saying this from the beginning. Anyone who takes the time to look, anyone who takes the time to look with an open mind can see what was coming. And in fact, there are people now who were skeptical, and we're getting messages and they're saying, oh, okay, we're catching up, and we can see it. Mm-hmm. And this is going to continue to happen for years to come, literally. So a documentary has to be made, because the symbolism that we discovered, and when I say we, I mean the whole community, is just sitting around in inboxes, it's sitting in threads, it's all over the place, but it's absolutely abundant. And so, you know, someone needs to put it all together and make a full-blown, full-length documentary showing all of it. Because it's like how many times are you going to call it a coincidence? You know, on Thursday night, the amount of comments in the group and messages from people all experiencing something similar and highly unusual at the same time. Okay, everyone that's saying like you scared thousands of people, etc., etc., I know that you guys, everyone that's posting comments like this right now, I absolutely know that you guys are completely uninformed, because you want to make this about us and you want to shoot the messenger. This is a whole community of people that spotted the symbolism, a whole community of thousands of people that spotted the symbol. But you guys want to ignore that, and you want to make it about two women on the internet. Okay? So please just stop, because you look foolish. And as more time goes on, and the more this is exposed and people catch up to where we're at, the sillier you're going to feel. Okay? So just stop. So anyway, Thursday night, we've got so many comments and so many messages coming through of you know, we've got helicopters flying low, we've got car sirens going off, we've got so much going on. And of course the symbolism is continuing, and it ramped up 7 days prior, and it ramped up 24 hours prior. And then I've got this emergency radio that I've had for a year. I've had this thing for a year, and it doesn't even work. In fact, I should have thrown it out already, but my cats pushed it under my bedside table, so I didn't even know where it was. I've had this thing for a whole year, and it decides on Thursday night at 10:30 p.m. It decides to set off a loud siren that completely scared the absolute crap out of me and all my animals, because it was really loud. And one of the people in the group looked it up and said, it says that, so it's an emergency radio, right? If a siren goes off, if this sets off a siren, it's from an emergency broadcast system. So why did an emergency broadcast system send an alert to this on Thursday night at 10:30? Why did it do that? I've had this thing for a whole year, and suddenly a siren goes off. And this is the kind of thing that was happening across literally, like, I don't know how far, but it was happening all over the city at least, where we had, all sorts of weird things happening, not just that night, but that day and the week prior. We had an incredible amount of drills, emergency drills. On the day itself, we had symbolism that ticked the boxes. We had an outage, just like we had on the 8th of November last year. We had the Optus outage, but this one was at the airports. We had...
It was like a systems failure or something.
Yeah. And then we had, what else? We had fire.
An engine blew up on a plane and it caught on fire on the grass. And I've had multiple pilots actually reach out to me and say that is very, very rare as well. But I don't know if that's actually what happened. I question that as well, but continue.
Well, that's what was reported.
Yeah.
So we had fire, we had explosion, and we had water.
The burst pipe in Como.
Yeah. So it's almost like they ticked the symbolism boxes, but on a really pared back version of events. So it was really interesting. When I was at home, they were broadcasting what was happening at the airport, and this went on for ages. Like, I have about 12 minutes of it filmed, and so I don't know how long it went for. I just sort of pressed record and then pressed stop after 12 minutes. But like, I was looking at it today, and it's like 12 minutes of like the same images being played out, and just total exaggeration. Like, look at these incredible images, of the airport, the fire, and it was just going on and on and on. And it was like they were carrying on about the grass fire and the plane as if it was 10 times bigger than what it really was. It was so bizarre. And it's almost as if that was not actually the plan. And yeah, so it's what I've realized is that we have so much more power to control the coding of this simulation than we realized, because what essentially we did was we took what was subliminal and what was in the dark, brought it into the light, and brought it into conscious awareness. And by doing that, it was like a macrocosmic version of what happens on the microcosmic with the shadow. So when we're not aware of the shadow, it controls us. It has full control of us because we're unaware of it, because the negative power literally thrives in our blind spots. And a lot of people who are into shadow work, they know that, but then the collective shadow is ignored. And when you acknowledge the collective shadow, it's the same result. And that's what I've realized as a result of what happened on Friday, because I was still in that, I was really losing faith on Thursday. You saw me losing faith. I was like, isn't it supposed to be that once you expose something, then you have control over it because it's now in the open and it's now in the conscious awareness of people, and now you have power over it because it's not hiding anymore. And that is exactly what happened, just like it works on the microcosm. But because it was uncharted territory, do you think it's a bit delusional not to? No, we're not apologizing, guys. We're not doing that, because you guys, you just want to jump on here. You're not across anything. You're not across it, and you just want us to apologize. What for, guys? You're not even across what happened. You don't even know what happened. You're not even aware. You guys are just literally just have too much time on your hands, and you just want to come and attack people over something you know absolutely nothing about. So just stop. So anyway, as a community, what we did was we changed the way people interact with reality. And it's like, it's sort of like it's such a spin out. Like I'm still processing it, but it makes so much sense that it would work like that on the collective level, because we know that's how it works on the microcosm.
Yeah.
So anyways, there's a lot of people that have articulated it much better than me. But yeah, the powers prey on the unconscious who have been subconsciously programmed. You know, there was one woman that she posted that she was in Sydney CBD on Thursday, and there was actually a lot of comments and a lot of messages of similar experiences. And this one woman said she saw this guy holding a sign that said, "Open your eyes." And then three other guys with earpieces came and just sort of swooped him off the footpath into a van or something. And it, you know, I had a few people message me similar observations in the city on the same day. And then I said to Doris, we had the same experience, but we were just standing there for like how long? Like 4 or 5 minutes watching some strange behavior in Darling Harbour on Thursday. And we were thinking, we just thought they were crazy. We just thought, this is crazy. There's literally a guy doing these zoomies going so dangerously fast in a public space on a lawnmower, just going round and round in circles, mowing the lawn, but there was no more lawn being mowed. It was like there was no lawn being mowed. He was just driving as fast as he possibly could, going around and around in circles. And a woman with a leaf blower that wasn't even blowing anything. There was nothing to blow. There was nothing to move. There was no grass being cut. And it was like she was just told, here, just go out there and make lots of sounds with this leaf blower. And we just thought it was crazy. We didn't think there was any connection whatsoever. We were just like, what is wrong with these people? Like, this is the strangest thing ever. And then when we got back and we started getting messages from people with similar stories on the same day in the same kind of area, and we're like, oh my God, like what was going on? And one woman said it's like what they were doing was deliberately creating like an energy, like making it like loud. And then again at nighttime, it was the same kind of thing with all the helicopters. There was so many people messaging and commenting saying, there's just helicopters, my kids can't sleep, my kid, you know, because the helicopters are so loud, and they're just doing circles over and over and over again for such a long period of time, going really, really low. How many times are you going to call something a coincidence? So many people experiencing something similar at the same time on the same day, you know. And then here I am thinking, no, everything's fine here. I'm not experiencing anything weird. I'm listening to the planes and the helicopters, and I'm like, there's nothing unusual going on, because here I am, I'm trying to be as optimistic as possible. And then like 10:30, this siren goes off. And here I am thinking I'm the lucky one that's not experiencing anything weird. And then this siren goes off at 10:30 at night. And it literally scared me like so much. I've never been so scared in my life. When this went off, it went off right next to me. And yeah, it's just insane. A documentary is going to be made about this, and there is so much to put together that is sitting in, hang on, what did they say? Don't stop major events. Yeah. Well, you know what? Like, I really did think that, on Thursday, I was really losing hope. And I really did think that maybe these stories about stopping major events by exposing them, I really did think that I was starting to think that they weren't true, because I thought surely by now, we've put ourselves out there. We're exposing it. We're bringing the darkness into the light, and yet the symbolism wasn't slowing down. And that's the thing that made me think maybe that's all BS, because the symbolism was just ramping up. It wasn't slowing down at all. So 7 days prior, it really ramped up. 24 hours prior, it really ramped up again. And I mean, I can't explain, like, at what point did they say, okay, this has been exposed, we're not going ahead with it? I have no idea. But all I know is that the symbolism did continue to ramp up. And, there's some of these trolls on here. It's hilarious because you guys have no idea what you're talking about. You guys are attacking us as individuals. You have no idea that there was actually thousands of people that saw what we saw. Like, we're just two people. You could kill us off today. You could get rid of us. You could chuck us in the ocean, and you still haven't gotten rid of the thousands of people that detected the same symbolism that we saw. And in fact, even those who didn't are now catching up. There are so many people catching up, and they're going, "Oh, we see it. We see it." So, and in time to come, and anyone who says, "Oh no, 9/11 wasn't foreshadowed," or no, so anyone that says that it was and then denies that this wasn't, is delusional. You probably just shouldn't voice your opinion, because you're going to look very foolish once all this comes together in a full feature documentary. You're going to see so much, it's undeniable. The thing is that it doesn't end here, because the symbolism for 8/11, there's so much of it that it's still being detected, and it will still be detected for years to come. Like, for years to come, that group will grow, and there'll be more people going, "Look what I found, look what I found, look what I found," because there's just so much of it.
When you say that, Annette, do you mean in things that have been made in the past?
In things that have been made in the past.
Yeah. To clarify for everyone. Like,
yeah.
You'll look back and you'll watch movies and you'll see media articles before Friday, and you'll see it as well. I'm still seeing stuff. Someone was telling me today that earlier this year, there was a fish caught in the harbour, and it was a doomsday fish, where in the Chinese or Japanese culture, if you catch this fish, it's a sign of doom for that country. That was just another.
I know.
Like,
someone just sent me another one just like an hour ago, saying it was an event called the Bloody Long Walk on the 17th of November, a 35-kilometre walk on the 17th of November called the Bloody Long Walk. And it was in Sydney, by the way. It just never stops. There's so much of it that it's just endless. Like, I posted a tiny fraction of it, and the symbolism that was coming in the last 7 days and the last 24 hours, I posted 1% of what I saw, because it was so sinister. It was incredibly sinister. It was so sinister and so disturbing. And, it absolutely blows my mind that there's so many people saw all of the symbolism and didn't see it for what it was. You have to admit, there are so many unconscious people walking the planet that you can almost smack them in the face with something and they still will deny that it's there. It's such a spin out. Luckily, there are many people that can detect it, because they're not unconscious, and that's what we've accumulated a lot of these people inside the Telegram group. And here's the other thing. A lot of people that they're accusing us and they're saying, oh, you're going to be the reason why this happens to us and the misinformation bill gets passed. Ask yourselves this one question. How come the only people coming after us are you guys? How come we haven't been visited by police?
Yeah.
I'll answer that question. It's because we're playing a different game, guys. We're not on the level we're not on that merry-go-round that you guys are used to being on. This is a spiritual battle that we're fighting on a spiritual level. We're not fighting it on the physical level. And this is why I said ages ago, when you guys were messaging me saying, don't drink out of bottles that aren't sealed, be careful, be careful, be careful. I'm like, I don't need to worry about being careful. We don't need to worry about being careful. We're playing a different game. This is a different game. And this is uncharted territory. So a lot of you guys who hopefully you're starting to wonder, and if you're not, you will start to wonder, hang on, there's something different happening here. There's something going on that's different. This is just the beginning of something massive. This is just the beginning. The symbolism will continue to be detected. And the thing is this, guys, it is so much bigger than November 8. November 8 is just a date. It's just a date based on numbers. What's important is not the date. What's important is the numbers. The date just represents the ritual that was supposed to happen. That's all the date was. It was just representing the timing of a planned ritual. The numbers behind that date are eternal. And if you want to be part of this, join the group, because what we've done essentially is exposed a very, very deep understanding of symbolism that you find in virtually, like, in almost every Hollywood movie. And so it's like, now that the symbolism surrounding 8/11 has come out of the dark and it's now in the conscious awareness of thousands of people. I mean, like, we had people winning big on the Flemington horse race last week because of the symbolism. We had so many people going, oh, like, they bet on a horse that was apparently, like, I don't know how all this betting stuff works.
Was it meant to be like one of the worst horses?
It was one of the worst horses. And so many people in our group won big money betting on it because of the symbolism. Now, I don't condone, like, I am so against gambling and betting, especially on animals. Like, please don't use what you learn in the group to bet on animals. I'm begging you. That's not going to help you spiritually, okay? It's not a good thing karmically to bet on animals and to support the animal exploitation industry. But if you want to bet on something that doesn't involve animals. But, don't exploit, be careful not to exploit the knowledge that you gain for sort of like self-serving purposes, because ultimately, this goes so deep, and this is about, it's about DNA activation, enlightenment. It's about moving on from this realm, escaping the duality, the realm of duality. And sorry, there's a cat fight happening outside. And so, like, it's this, this really, like, you should really take this as an opportunity to expand your consciousness. And where was I going with that? Yeah, like, the thing is that now that, like, this, like I said, this is so much bigger than November 8. November 8 was just something that we clocked on to in August. I mean, I was decoding stuff for months. Around middle of August, we started to detect November 8, and it just got stronger. And I thought, if something really is going to happen, if something is really planned for November 8, then we should see the symbolism escalate and escalate. And that's exactly what happened. It really escalated. right up until the last day, like the last 7 days and the last 24 hours. And the thing is that, like, the people that will say, oh, you're just saying that because you were wrong. I mean, ooh, like, basically what you think is that we don't have any control of our reality. You know, some people said it was foolish to believe that we could foil it. And I said that it wasn't foolish to believe that. I mean, but then, of course, the last 24 hours, I was starting to question myself because the symbolism was just, I really wish, honestly, like, the one regret I have is wishing that I had more faith, because I really did start to lose faith in the last 24 hours.
But
And
if people watch that video that we did that day on the Thursday, there was that red sign that I've never seen before when we were driving.
oh, that
You know,
was just one. That was just one.
it was
Like,
too much.
there,
Like, we were seeing,
there
even
was,
seeing stuff,
yeah,
and we were shitting people too. So, you know, it makes sense why we were like, shit, like, this looks like it's still going ahead. You know, like,
yeah, no, right up until the last minute, the symbolism was. But then again, like, they may have made the decision, but then everything else is still on autopilot. You know, like, the algorithm is still pushing out the things. They can't just go and change the billboards, you know, at the click of a second and all that kind of thing. So, yeah. So it's hard, like, we'll never know exactly what was the point where they just went, okay, too many people know. Like, this is in too many, it's in the conscious awareness of too many people now. You know, we're going to pull the plug. We're not going to go ahead with it. Like, it's not, are you still, no, I'm not a Hillsong member anymore. That was a very long time ago. I don't know who that was. Anyway, so symbolism is everywhere. This is what I've realized. Once you can decode movies and mythological stories and fictional stories, you can decode media and you can decode architecture and you can decode, like, it's the same thing. So it's not like, oh, I can decode movies, but I can't decode media articles. No, if you can decode movies, you can decode media articles. This is something that you can see, like, that I was discovering on the journey. If you go back into my highlights and you go back further enough, I didn't know, I had no idea where it was all going to lead, but the number 8 was something that I had, you know, that was coming at me for a long time, but I couldn't understand it. In fact, when I first detected number 8 in architecture in the city, we went there and we shot a video, which we've never posted, and it was literally us just walking around going, what is this building? What does it represent? And it's because 8 is the hardest thing to decode. It's like the hardest number to decode, and because there are so many things hiding behind that number. It's a number that hides other things that really just don't have a number to represent it. So, but anyway, I won't go too deep into it, but, like, a lot of you guys onto it. Now, the problem is that we've had all these new people come out of nowhere, and some of you guys are just trolling. Some of you guys are catching up really, really fast. Like, I just had a few messages. My inbox is just insane. And the vast majority are people who are actually quite intelligent. I don't get that many trolls. But a lot of you guys, it amazes me when I get a message from someone that says, I just found you a week ago and I've been looking at your stuff and wow, you know, I can really see it. That's amazing, because there are people who discovered us like a month ago who are still not able to comprehend the information. I can't speak for them, so I don't know why it is, but they're either just closed-minded, or they're just bored with their lives, so they just want to troll, or maybe they're trying but they can't, you know, they're actually sincerely trying to understand it but they can't. But there's a lot of you that are looking, and you can see it even within a week. Even I've had one person say they could see it in days. Like, they just spent, you know, I don't know how many hours in a couple of days looking, and they're like, I'm on it. I can see it. And this is just the beginning. Like, that Telegram group is just going to blow up as time goes by. And people say, well, what's next? Because, like, let's say, like, if we've changed the timeline, if we've shifted the timeline, which I 100% believe that we have, then how does the domino effect work for the other plans? Because when you think about it, you know, and I said this on the live. I said this 2 days prior. I said this on the Wednesday night or whatever it was. I said that there's prophecy that most people say, oh, well, it's prophecy. We're going to have to live through this time of tribulation. We're going to have to, like when people were asking me to decode, the Olympic Games ceremony, and they were saying, talk about the pale horse, right? Because the pale horse was like a big part of that. It was a very prominent symbol in the opening ceremony of the Olympic Games. And I said, like, I said it in a video or somewhere. I definitely said, I remember saying, I don't want to talk about the pale horse because the pale horse is so depressing. It's the most depressing subject, symbol in the world. And it's so depressing that it's like how is it that we have to accept a really sinister, depressing prophecy just because it's written in a holy book? And we go, oh, well, it's written in this ancient book, so therefore we just have to accept it as our reality. That doesn't make any sense, especially when you understand that the seven seals and the horsemen, it's really about it's about the alchemical transmutation process. It's about the microcosm. It's about what's in your control. It's about the chakra system. So when what they've done with that is they've turned it into this external ritualistic thing where it's about these events that happen externally in the world, right? So yeah, pale horse is in the Revelations. That's right. So you've got the white horse, the red horse, the black horse, the pale horse. And of course, the white horse was the most sort of like, it was the one that was the least, it's like most people can agree, yeah, the red horse is about civil war and division and chaos. And then you got the black horse, which is about economic downfall, economic collapse that leads into the pale, which is famine and starvation and all that stuff. So it's just a story that gets, and now we know the white horse is the poison arrow, which is the jab, which is the stab to the heart. It just gets worse and worse and worse. And we're supposed to just sit there and go, oh, well, it's prophecy, so we just have to accept that everything's just going to get worse and worse and worse, and we just have to accept it because it's prophecy. We need to really get rid of that mindset because, and now that what we just went through, it's just, I have zero doubt that we can shift the timeline and change it from being this depressing, oh, there's going to be civil war, then there's going to be civil, unrest and economic collapse and starvation and famine and all this stuff. And we can change that and go, no, that's not going to be our reality. But we don't do it through love and light. This is the problem. People think just ignore the darkness and the negativity and it won't exist because you're ignoring it. That's not how it works at all. That's the opposite of how it works. When you ignore it, it thrives because now it's now in your blind spot and you can't see it. So it's controlling you. The shadow controls you because you're not acknowledging that it exists. You're not facing it. You're not looking at it. And obviously that's how it works on the collective level as well. And so many thousands of people can see that because thousands of people are across the symbolism. It's not just me saying this. Thousands of people are across the symbolism and they can see the timeline shift that's just taken place. And so obviously that has a domino effect. So if you can shift the timeline for the red horse, what happens to the black horse and the pale horse? There must be a domino effect. And it's such uncharted territory, and it's something that it's hard to even imagine, like, how does this work? All I know is that each day that goes by, this world feels more and more like a simulation. Like, it really feels more and more like a matrix because you realize that there's coding and we've been led to believe that we're not in control of the coding. Like, we don't have control of it. And even if we do believe it in our heads, we don't believe it in our hearts. And I feel like what happened on Friday has shifted the belief from my head to my heart. It's like I know it with all my being now. It's like, and so many people feel the same way, and it's so incredibly empowering. It's the most empowering experience ever because like I'm just so excited about what is to come, because like I said, 8/11 is not a date. The date was just a ritual. It was just a ritual for something 1,000 times bigger, and something extremely positive as well. It was it's almost as if it's like, okay, so if humanity doesn't wake up, and if humanity doesn't become activated, and if humanity continues to stay under the control of the unconscious, right? And that means that they could push so much warning, they could give us so much revelation, right, of the method, so to speak. Like they could give us and they could just tell us, we're going to do this to you, we're going to do this to you, we're going to do this to you. And they give us so much warning, and then when we go, we don't react to it, we don't respond to it, we don't bring it out of the dark into the light, and we don't bring it to the front of people's conscious awareness. That means that they're allowed to do, like, that gives them permission to do that thing to us that they were warning us they were going to do. And as soon as we say no, and like, I'm not going to pretend to know exactly what point, is it just that one person needs to pick up on it? Is it that there's a certain amount of people that needs to clock onto it? Is it that, like, at what point do they go, okay, this is too much in the conscious awareness of the people now, that we have to now go to the other plan, which is, we're not going to go ahead with it. We're going to just do a pared back symbolic ritual with all ticking the boxes. We've got fire, we've got water, we've got explosion, we've got this, and we just move on. Like, at what point do they say, okay, like that's the question that probably will never have answered. Like, at what point do they say, okay, too many people know? Maybe someone that's actually foiled a lot of plots in the past. Maybe this is something. Maybe this is an answer that they'll have. Like, they can say, well, this many people need to be aware of it before. It can't just be one person. It can't just be two. It can't just be maybe one person posting about it on there. Maybe it needs to have this many views, or maybe this many people need to be posting about it, or it has to have this much reach. Who knows what the number is? I have no idea. This is really just uncharted territory. So, but at the end of the day, the point is that obviously we have control, and we have a lot more control, but the control doesn't come from the things that we thought. Like, some people will say, well, it was my prayer group that stopped it. And some people will say, no, it was my meditation group that stopped it. But at the end of the day, in my opinion, from everything I've seen and everything I've just lived through, I think that what stopped it was bringing it out of the subliminal into the conscious awareness. It was bringing it out of the realm of like the subconscious, where it was just like, it was there, but you can only see it if you've got enough discernment. It's like if you've got an ability to discern. Going back before November 8, I was able to discern certain things about stories and movies, and it had nothing to do with November 8. November 8 was just another thing. It was just like, well, if you can discern these things, then you can discern November 8. And like I said, November 8 it's just a date. It's just a date because 8/11 represents something so big. 8/11 represents the way to 9/11. You can't get to 9/11 without going through 8/11. It's massive. This is a big, big deal. Like, 8/11 is not over. It's just the ritual they had planned for it is over. Like, it's not, it got foiled, but it's not that 8/11 is over. We'll be talking about 8/11 for years to come. Not just 8/11, what it means on the deepest level, but there will be people talking about all the symbolism leading up to November 8, 2024. There's still so much rolling in. There'll be symbolism rolling in for years to come that people will detect from things that will put out before November 8, 2024. So things from 10 years ago, 20 years ago, 30 years ago, 40 years ago. And someone says, nothing happened on 8/11 though. You must be new here. You must have just clocked on, because because what we've been saying is that, yeah, nothing happened, because there's a reason why nothing happened. If we thought we couldn't stop it, if we thought that we had no power over what happened on November 8th, we would have never crucified ourselves online. We would have just kept it to ourselves. It would have been like, oh, something's going to happen, and we're just going to sit back and take care of ourselves and make sure we're prepared, and we'll just let it happen because we've got no control. We've got no power over the situation. But, you know, there's moments of doubt. There's, you know, it's natural to have moments of doubt, but most of the time we believed that we could stop it.
Yeah.
And so,
like you said, it's uncharted territory. I've never seen anyone ever come out in this world and talk about what you've been talking about, and identify symbolism and show the patterns, create a group that's going to decode things. No one's ever done that. Like, if they have, please let us know. But I've never seen it. I've never experienced it. So therefore, this is new territory. So what that means is we're also learning ourselves. We're realizing a lot from this. And that's just how it is. When you're ahead of others, and when you see something that others don't, you're kind of paving the way. And so you're going to be attacked because you're seeing things that these people here just can't even comprehend in their minds. So it's just part of being in this position, is that you're going to trigger a lot of people, and there are things that you're not even going to get as well. And there are things that you're not even going to understand when they play out. You're going to think, what was this? What was that? You know, because no one's been there. That's how this works. Like, so it's exciting. I didn't think it was possible. Honestly, I didn't think you could foil something. But when it happened, I thought there was so much symbolism. It was undeniable. Like, we guessed the winning horse, you know, like we knew it was going to be number 11 in stable 8, and all these practice like events, and it was insane. You could not deny it. Like, you can even go and look right now in the group, all the stuff that we were finding.
it's amazing the amount of people that are posting right now saying people have been decoding symbolism for years. Alex Jones has been doing it. Guys, we know that you guys are new here just by what you're saying. We know that you're new here. And you know what? The thing that I've learned about humans, about human nature, like something that I've really learned in the past like couple of weeks, is how funny it is how people will voice a completely uninformed opinion so arrogantly, so proudly, and so loudly on social media. Like, you guys have no idea how much you are embarrassing yourselves when you come here and you say things like this, because you clearly have no idea what you're talking about. And all the thousands of people that have been on this path for months are laughing at you. They are laughing at you because they can see that you don't know, that you have just come here out of nowhere, and your opinion is completely baseless, completely uninformed, and you sound silly. Maybe instead of jumping to a decision based on nothing, maybe what you need to do is actually inform yourself. Just inform yourself. It's pretty simple. It just means looking at something before having an opinion on it. It's not that hard. And we have the brain power as humans to do it. You just need to drop the ego. That's all you need to do. Drop the ego and you'll be able to do it. Have a bit of humility, like have a bit of like intelligence and humility. I mean, this is what happened. Just like Doris said, when you're doing something for the first time, something that's uncharted, you know, you're going to get attacked. Like, it's the way it is, because you're doing something new that no one's seen anyone do before. It's what's always happened in history. It's what will always happen.
I mean,
it's
look at
to be expected.
David Icke. Like, David Icke, let's give him as an example. I don't know if he's part of it or whatever, but he was talking about all this stuff years and years ago in the 80s, right? And he was ridiculed. But how much of what he said actually came true and actually happened? It's just how it works. Like, he could see things, or he knew things a long time ago, and obviously, like, it caught up eventually. Like, he was ahead of the game. It's the same thing, but this is another level. Like, I'm not saying, you know, follow David Icke. He could know what this is and how this all works. But it's a similar concept. Like, how many people respect the guy now, and how many followers does he have? And because everyone caught up to his info, It was part of the disclosure, I suppose. But it's also like if you have a preconceived belief and a preconceived kind of attachment to a belief and you think you know it all, you're never going to get this stuff. You need to be able to suspend what you know and long enough to just look into what Annette's showing and what we've been doing in the group. If you can't even get to that step, if you're stuck believing in whatever you've been taught from a child or whatever you've been taught by the system, you're not going to get there. You're not going to get there. Like, you're done. You're trapped. You've been caught in the web. That's it. And I can see that so easily with people that they think they know everything and they've already got the answers, or there's also fear there because talking about chakras is Satan worship. Don't even get me started about that. Like,
well, here's what's going to happen. Like,
yeah,
this is the thing. A lot of these people that are not, open to suspending their preconceived beliefs or even looking at something that is new and unfamiliar. And you've got these like truthers that are like literally selling courses on truth seeking, and they can't truth seek themselves. And what's going to happen with these people is they're going to fall behind and become irrelevant because so many people are going to get so far ahead of them because they are open-minded, especially if you're in the group. And if you're in the group with an open mind and you're actually a proper truth seeker, not just a validation seeker looking for validation, that you already have the truth, but you're actually looking for the truth itself, this is what's going to happen. If you spend enough time in the group, you're going to learn how to decode the deepest level of symbolism that has been in your face your whole life. You're going to be able, because that's what's happening in the group. People are able to go back to the things they've been exposed to their whole lives, like bands, movies, events, right? They're able to go back, look at the news articles, look at and see, oh my gosh, there is so much. It's undeniable. The pattern recognition is so unbelievable. Like once you have the key, once you have the tools, you can see it all. And it unlocks a whole new level of consciousness. It's a consciousness that is more about knowing and less about believing. We're so used to this belief consciousness of just like following someone like Alex Jones or this guy or that guy and just believing whatever they say. This is not what that is, guys. Some of you guys are new here. You just hear and you think that that's what this is. This is just some two girls talking shit, pulling shit out of their ass and people blindly believing. That's not what this is at all. In fact, and I've said it before, when I clocked onto November 8th back in August, I never came out. You can't go back and find a point where I said, this is what's going to happen. Not until after people had already started detecting it themselves. So what was happening was I was showing, oh, look at this, look what I'm seeing, look what I'm seeing, look what I'm seeing. And then people are like, oh, wow, is something going to happen? Oh, wow, it looks like something's going to happen. It looks like something's going to happen on November 8th. People were coming to that conclusion by themselves, guys. People are like, when did you actually come out and say it? Like in your highlights, I'm like, there isn't like a specific, it's just, I was just showing, and there is no specific time where it was like this, is, and there was the beginning of it all. You won't find that. You won't find that moment. It was just, wow, this is interesting. Look at this, look at this, look at this, look at this. Going back to something over here, going back to something over there. And then people going, wow, it looks like something's going to happen in Sydney on November 8th. And I'm like, yeah, it does, doesn't it? I'm so against blind faith. I'm so against blind faith. When somebody who's like a psychic or a channeler or some sort of like someone that's put themselves on a pedestal, a religious leader or someone comes along and says, I predict this is going to happen, right? And they make a prediction. Okay, that doesn't mean anything to me. It doesn't mean anything to me. That's not what this is. We didn't predict an event on November 8th. All you people that think that have no idea what you're talking about. You're new here. You haven't been, you're not across it. Please just be quiet until you know what you're talking about. if you go into the Telegram group, you'll see thousands of people posting the symbolism that they're seeing for it. In fact, people were telling me so much stuff that I didn't know. Like, in fact, most of the stuff I posted was from other people, right? So yes, my Telegram group is like a place where I was grabbing comments and messages from thousands of people and posting it in one place. And you guys are coming here attacking me. When what I'm posting, it's just a place where I'm posting symbolism that thousands of other people noticed, and I'm reposting it all in this one place. But you guys are, some of you guys are so unconscious, you can't even fathom the idea of that. It's just crazy. What's going to end up happening is that these people that are learning, they're going down their own rabbit holes. They're like, wow, now that I can see this, I can look back at my whole life. I can now look back and I can see the symbolism that was in these, my favorite songs, my favorite, like these albums this band that I listened to, this film, these events that took place. They're going back, they're looking at the articles, they're looking at they're looking at the dates, they can see it, and the pattern recognition, it's undeniable. It's so undeniable. And what's happening is that these people that are doing this, they're going to go so far ahead, right? They're going to get so far ahead, they're going to end up unfollowing all these truthers, right, that just want to talk about bills that are getting passed and FEMA camps and, the next PSYOP and like all this the 5G and the vaccines and I'm not saying that this is all nonsense. Sorry?
It's way deeper than that. That's all symbolism.
Yeah, it's
part of it.
That's exactly right. Like they're not recognizing that all this stuff is actually symbolic of deeper things. When you go deeper and you pull the rug out and you go deeper and you get to the bottom layer, now it's a whole different level of consciousness. You're playing a different game. You're on a completely different level. And this is why you guys are not seeing Doris and I being attacked by anyone other than our own people. We're not being attacked by the media. We're not having cops come to our house. Like, none of this stuff is happening. Why is this not happening? We're not playing the game that you guys are playing or think we're playing. We're not on that level. We're not fighting a spiritual battle on a physical level. We're fighting a spiritual battle on a spiritual level.
Yeah.
And as time goes by, I mean, more and more people are going to see it, and a lot of people they're going to become irrelevant because we're coming into a new age now. This is a new age. Things are going to be very different from now on, and things they're not going to play out the way that they've played out in the past. There's going to be a lot more hope in the world, a lot more confidence that we do control our reality, a lot less fear,
And we're still trying to work out whether these like figureheads that we're seeing on TV, Trump, this whoever's up there, Elon Musk, like, I really think that they're just part of the game. They're playing a specific role, and a lot of what they're saying and doing is symbolism. So what I'm trying to say is, don't get too attached to these people and don't think that they're going to do something for you and for us. It's like they're actors in reality. You know what I'm trying to say? Like, does that make sense?
I know.
They're playing a role. They're playing a specific role, and it's all part of the symbolism and where we're at. And so what I'm trying to say is, like, don't latch on to them, and just observe from an observatory place, not an emotional place, and see what they're telling you and what they're showing. Elon Musk and X and Loop, or what was that Loop guy, by the way, he stopped posting before November 8. He hasn't posted. Has he not posted? I don't know. I haven't checked. But I usually get notifications. Okay, he's stopped posting now all of a sudden. I don't know if they know what's going on, or if they're just like being controlled, or they're NPCs, or they're programs. Don't know yet. Haven't figured that out. Doesn't matter. What matters is knowing that these aren't people that we need to latch onto. We need to do our own stuff. We don't need to rely on them. and we can determine how things play out. Like, that's just what I'm trying to say in relation to all of that. And unfortunately, in the truther community, like, there's this need for picking a side. He's good, he's bad, and like labeling people and labeling things, right? Don't attach yourself to that kind of stuff, because then you miss the message that these people are showing us. It's part of the job that the symbolism and all the messages we're getting is part of them telling us things. So when you latch onto a particular like label, or that they're good, or he's good and she's bad, are they evil, whatever, it's not important. Look deeper than that. Look deeper. Is that making sense to people, what I'm trying to say here? And
Yeah.
I've been there. I have been there. Like, I was always thinking that, the royal family and this and that, they're reptilians, they're evil. They probably are evil, yes, but now that I don't look at it from a lens of like fear and of hatred, and now it's like, okay, like, let's see what they're telling us with this. The whole thing where that Kim Kardashian dressed up as what did she dress up as, like a reptilian, and everyone's like, oh, she's exposing her true form. Probably, but that goes deeper, like, because
Yeah, that's
you want to
right.
explain the whole reptilian thing, Annette, like, just as an example.
Yeah, because look, everything comes back to the microcosm.
Yeah.
And so if you're focused on something external and you're like, oh, they're evil, they're doing this and that, then you're not focusing on the deepest level of symbolism.
Correct.
It's a shallow level that you're focused on. And so it's out of something that's out of your control, right? So if you're focusing on something that's out of your control, they've got you exactly where they want you.
That's
So
what I'm trying to say. Thank you.
yeah. So the thing is that what you want to do is focus on what is in your control. And that means that in order to understand symbolism, in order to understand the deepest level, the deepest layer, you need to have, and someone said it before, they said, don't trust anyone, only trust God. And I totally agree with that, whoever just wrote that, because that's exactly right. What they've done is they've got you trusting people outside of you. So they've got you trusting a politician, or they've got you trusting people that you follow on the internet, or they've got you trusting whatever, like something that's outside of you, like a religious leader, right? Religious leaders, or the Pope, right? Or anything like that, like, or a guru, like some sort of intermediate, someone that's sort of in the middle of you and God, that you need to go through them to reach God, or God speaks to them and then they speak, or truth speaks to them and then this is where, like, this is, we're coming out of that age now. That's an age of belief, and the prophet, right? The true prophet is your heart. That's why Jesus was baptized. I mean, I don't know how many times I'm going to say this, but that's why Jesus was baptized by John the Baptist. And I'm not a religious person, by the way. This is, I believe, mythology, right? I refer to biblical mythology more than any other mythology because I have a Christian background, and I know the Bible stories better than, the stories of like the Quran or Greek mythology or any other kind of mythology, or the Bhagavad Gita or whatever. So I refer to biblical stories more than any other stories because I know them better. So just so you guys know, I'm not religious. But the story of Jesus being baptized by John the Baptist, John is the heart. So Jesus is he's not Jesus Christ until he's baptized by John the Baptist. And it's really overlooked. Like the Christians, because they look at it like a literal story, John the Baptist just gets pushed to the side so much, even though he was actually, like in the story, he's born of a miraculous conception. He's actually the key to Jesus becoming Jesus Christ. And people don't talk about that. And that's because he represents the heart. See, the heart, your heart is where God connects with you. When your heart is still dualistic, when it's still, because like it even says in the Bible that the heart can be deceptive, right? Because the heart is dualistic. The human heart is dualistic. And that's why humans, we have the capacity to do good and evil. We have the capacity for good and evil. That's why I'm against collective punishment, and I'm against like killing people, and I'm, any kind of murder plots, because people have good and bad in them. They have good and bad. Even people who are bad have good in them. So what we're trying to do is we're trying to close the gate that leads to the unconscious realm that makes people bad. Once your heart is purified enough, right? Once your heart is actually pure and it's purified, that's when, like, you're not just relying on gut instinct anymore, because gut instinct is the closest thing you're going to get to hearing God's voice at this point, right? Before your heart's purified. That's why you can always rely on your gut. That's why they say that you can always trust your gut, because your gut it won't lie. You're not going to be deceived through your gut, but you can be deceived through your heart. So once you've purified your heart, that's when you get, and that's why, and I've said it so many times, and I'm going to say it so many times again, when the Pope came to Sydney in 2008, he was buried in the outfit that he wore. 14 years later, he was buried in the outfit that he wore in Sydney on the 20th of July, 2008. 14 years later, they buried him in that outfit. And if you look it up, you can see it. Like that you can see it in Google. Just Google it. What was Pope? What was it? Benedict? I always forget was it Benedict or Francis? I think it was Benedict. What was he buried in? The outfit he wore in 2008 in Sydney, Australia. Now, what was the speech? Because remember, they tell us the good and the bad, because it's a realm of duality. So those who are in control of our society, they tell us the good news and the bad news, right? That's why you're going to get the good news and the bad news in the media, in Hollywood. That's why when people say to you, don't read that holy book, that's deceptive. Don't look at the literature from that religion, that's deceptive. Don't look at that, that's false. When people say that, block your ears, because the truth is that everything's dualistic. There is no one religion or one thing that is pure and everything else is deceptive. It doesn't work that way. Everything's dualistic, and you're going to find the truth and the deception everywhere you look. So what was the Pope? What did he say? What was the speech, right? It's a pretty big deal, like the fact that they buried him in that outfit. So what did he say? What was the speech that he read out in that outfit? Go and have a look. It's about what the Christians call the Holy Spirit. Now, the Christians call it the Holy Spirit. Other religions, every religion has a different word for it. For example, the Knights Templar call it the Sophia, right? And so it's a wisdom spirit. It's the feminine spirit. It's basically like, I'll talk about it the way the Christians talk about it, because I'm most familiar with Christianity. But it's basically like, it's called the Comforter, and so when you, like, what the Pope, what he did was talk about how when the Holy Spirit comes upon you, you have power. In fact, the theme of World Youth Day, of that whole event, the theme was, you will have power when the Holy Spirit comes upon you. That was the theme of the whole event, because that is the good news. That's the secret. That's the big positive secret that they reveal and conceal, is the fact that that's where your power comes from. So your power doesn't come from believing a book or believing someone online that you follow or anything like that. Your power comes from your direct relationship with Source, or your direct relationship with God. And so that's where your power comes from, and that's because that's where you get discernment from. So you don't need to rely on anyone telling you anything, and blindly believing it, because now you've got discernment. You've got this discernment to be able to look at something and go, okay, yes, that's nonsense, but that's something to, that I need to focus on that, and that's just nonsense over there, so it's
the biggest problem is people will, when, say, for example, there's like someone, the Pope says something or whatever, people that we like deem as to be evil, we just throw everything out that they say. Nah, they're evil. Bye. Like, I don't want to listen to anything. But there's a lot of, like, there are little snippets of truths and things that they're giving away. So try not to throw the baby out with the bathwater. Is that how the saying goes? So
yeah, but it's hard for the average person to to detect like what part do I focus on and what do I ignore, like what, because the truth resonates it's supposed to resonate. The truth is meant to resonate. That's how it's meant to work. But the thing is, when people have their hard hearts, and there's so many people messaging, I think that a lot of people can see this feed maybe through your page, because I'm pretty sure there's a lot of people here I've already blocked. But yeah, it's interesting how it works. But like, there's a lot of people here who are commenting. You guys your hearts are as hard as rocks. They're literally like, your hearts are just cold and hard. It's so obvious. You guys are so, I mean, you guys are so cruel. You guys, the things that you say, a lot of you call yourself Christians. Like, it's really bizarre. It's really, really bizarre how people who call themselves Christians can be so cruel, so judgmental, so ignorant, so arrogant, so egotistical, so egocentric, so full of toxic traits.
Jesus never presented ever.
Just go and get yourself one of those "What would Jesus do" bands, and just wear it all the time, because you need that little reminder. Jesus, yeah, you're not just, maybe you shouldn't call yourself Christians, because you're doing Christianity a really bad disservice by doing that.
You are.
Yeah.
Thanks to these guys, a lot of people have found my page.
Yeah.
And they're like, I found my page through these people talking shit about you, but I actually really like what you put. And
yeah, there's a lot.
I resonate, and I'm like, oh, isn't that interesting? Like, thank you.
Yeah, there's a lot of that. Yeah. There's been a lot of that. But also the other thing is that a lot of these trolls, you guys were actually instrumental in the process, because at the end of the day, they don't really care if you're talking about something in a negative way or a positive way. They just like that you're talking about it. So if they want to get a message out, they'll get it out. So they control all sides of conflicts, right? So by doing that, what they do is they put something out, they wrap like a symbolism, they'll wrap it in controversy, right? They'll wrap it in controversy so that people fight about it, and then everyone will be arguing about who's right and who's wrong. And at the end of the day, yeah, exactly. So we're all in division, and we're all arguing about like a certain topic, and we're like, who's right and who's wrong, and there's a conversation going on, and people are just bickering over it and in Twitter threads or whatever. And at the end of the day, that symbolism is being pushed out, in an organic way, because people are grabbing onto it, and they're falling into conflict over it. So that's how the symbolism spreads. And so a lot of you guys who are really bored with your lives, and you don't really have a lot to do, so you just kind of want to attack people and over things that you haven't researched, you guys actually did a really good job. So you actually did God's work. So thank you, because that was actually part of the plan. So yeah, you've done your work, and now you're getting blocked. So thank you.
I also want to just highlight, because there's all this stuff about shield, controlled op, blah blah blah. Guys, you don't need to follow anyone to figure out like who's controlled, who's a shield. It's so obvious. One of the things I look at, and I've seen people expose themselves, is who is pro genocide at the moment, who's supporting genocide, and who's not speaking up. To me, that's like, there you go. They're not in their hearts, or they're controlled. Like, you don't need to follow some account who's like going through and digging up someone's past, things that they've done that might be like a little bit negative or a bad decision, to know if they're controlled or not. Just look at who's supporting genocide and who isn't. That's literally going to give you an indication of, where someone's at consciously and in their hearts. So that's it's so obvious. Like, all the people that are attacking us at the moment, they're all pro-genocide, and it's just like, that does not surprise me. And the other thing is that they hate Muslims, and they hate the fact that we are defending Muslims, because using Islam as a tool to create all this chaos and division, we're exposing that, and they don't like it. I don't know, like, people really get triggered when Muslims are being defended for some reason. It's another religion. They're twin flame religions. Like Annette has spoken about this. Christianity and Islam are twin flame religions. And yeah, it's hard for people to see that it's not even a religion that's the problem. It's
It's a consciousness thing.
exactly.
This is the thing, like, let's say you've got someone who's a Christian and they're super self-righteous and they're super arrogant and ignorant and closed-minded, and they've got all these really toxic traits, and people will say, oh, that's because they're a Christian. It wouldn't matter if they were Muslim, and it wouldn't matter if they were atheist, and it wouldn't matter if they were whatever, like pick, XYZ, take your pick of what they, faith or religion. It's not the religion and it's not the faith or the belief. It's a consciousness problem. They would be the same if they were any other religion. It's not, it's all about consciousness, and that's about the heart. So it all comes back to the heart. The heart is the key. Once you start to understand the heart, I'll tell you what, go and watch the Netflix film called Heart of Stone. By the way, you're going to see a lot of 8s in there. But yeah, so go and watch Heart of Stone, because the more recent the films are and the series are, the deeper the symbolism is. So this is why I say, like, with the most recent stuff, you're going to see a lot more stuff about 8 and 11 and all that kind of stuff, because it's going deeper and deeper and deeper. And this particular film, you've got this group called the Charter, and they're guided by this thing called the heart. Like, they could have called it anything, but they called it the heart, because as we progress and as we get close to the end of the age, they're going deeper and they're exposing more and more. So they literally call this thing the heart, because that's literally how it works. The heart guides the soul. The Charter is the soul, and the heart is the spirit. The spirit guides the soul. And this is the problem with the people are focused on the soul and not the spirit. And the spirit is unlocked to the heart. The soul is something that you have automatically, because if you didn't have a soul, your body wouldn't be animated. You would be dead. It animates your body. But the spirit is not the same thing. And so the spirit is what unlocks and guides the soul up. And that's through the heart. So in order to unlock the spirit, to guide the soul into enlightenment, into a higher consciousness, the thing you need to focus on is the heart. And when I say the heart, what I mean is you've got to be watching yourself. You've got to be making sure that you're doing things, you're doing the really simple, it's really simple instructions. Treat others as you would like them to treat you. That's probably the most basic and yet the hardest thing for people to do. Most people cannot put themselves into the shoes of other people or other beings, other sentient beings. Like, it's the most simple instruction in the world, and yet because people can't do it for whatever reason, they're essentially you're outrunning wisdom. You're literally outrunning the spirit. You're outrunning wisdom. You're running away from wisdom, because at the end of the day, the truth has been protected from those with hard hearts. If you've got a hard heart, if you're someone that is just not a good person, the truth will not present itself to you. It just won't. But you're just going to fall behind. Like, you're just going to become irrelevant and fall behind, because other people are going to catch up. Because we're coming into an age where we're already into an age where the heart energy of the earth is rising and getting thicker in the ether, which means, and it's connected to our hearts. So if you're not doing the heart work, you are going to fall behind. If you're someone that's stuck in the intellect and you're all about the intellect, and you're not catching yourself when you have judgmental thoughts about people, you're not catching yourself when you're doing things that impose on people's freedoms or the freedoms of other sentient beings, like you're not taking them into consideration, when you are holding resentment towards people, when you are choosing to judge and to be self-righteous, all these things, when you are making these decisions, these are choices of the heart that you're making, and you're making choices that are keeping your heart hard, and the wisdom won't come to you, and you're going to fall behind. So if you're someone that considers yourself like a wisdom keeper, like, there's a lot of these people online that, they're like influencers, and they give advice to people, and they sell courses on truth seeking and things like that. But if you're someone that's stuck in the left brain, you are going to fall behind. Your followers are going to eventually drop off, because they're going to realize that you're just way behind the game. And as people learn to detect the symbolism in the movies and in the media, it completely changes the way you interact with the world. It completely changes the way you stop getting caught up in shallow level symbolism. Suddenly you're not going to get caught up in conflict anymore, and who's right and who's wrong, and oh, those people are bad and we're good, and but they're bad and they're deceived but we're right. And this conflict thing is just, you're just gonna realize how silly it is, and how when you get caught up in this conflict and you just live in constant conflict about, those bad people versus us good people and all that, you are exactly where the controllers want you. And that is exactly how they can control you, because by doing that, you are locking wisdom out. And when you don't have wisdom and you don't have discernment, you cannot see what they are putting right in front of you. Like, they're literally putting stuff right in front of your face every day. Like, it blows my mind the amount of people that did not notice the symbolism about November 8. Do you know how much symbolism there was pointing towards November 8? Like, it was, at the end of the day, like in the last 7 days, it was pretty much almost every single post that the algorithm pushed to the top of your feed from someone you weren't following. That's how much symbolism there was. And if you couldn't see it, right, the amount of people that could not see it, there's a problem. There's a problem, and you're never going to see it. You're never going to detect the symbolism. You're never going to read the language. You're never going to understand the language that they're speaking to you in if you are living like with a hard heart and you are putting all the emphasis up here. It's never going to happen for you. And as the world progresses and as humanity moves towards enlightenment, you're going to fall behind. You're going to lose followers. You're going to lose relevance in this world.
Even to the point where people who've been vaccinated and obviously didn't know then, they will take over you, because you're going to be stuck in this like
absolutely
like bad, good, this, that mentality. That, like, the crazy thing is, we have a lot of people in our decoding group who did get vaccinated, unfortunately, because they didn't realize, but they're so humbled by that experience that they've not blocked off opening themselves to new information. Whereas the truth is, because we were right and we predicted this and we knew what was going to happen, so therefore we're going to get stuck in this paradigm of being right and of this, and we don't progress. Like, literally, that's what me and Annette are seeing, and we talk about it every day, how it's crazy how the truth is, who knew about the vaccines and stuff are now the ones that are attacking us, and the ones who are humbled from that experience are now open-minded, coming here and listening. And don't get caught in that. That's ego, that's ignorance, and that's arrogance. And a lot of truthers are getting stuck in that. I can see it. Okay, I had it a little bit. I can admit, like, I know how that feels. I've been through that. Like, I'm right, I know everything. I was, on my little high horse, but I got humbled too. And it's just part of our journey. But don't get stuck in it. Open your hearts, open your mind, keep progressing. There's still more to learn. We barely know anything. We know so little.
Yeah, and if you're concerned with things like one world religion, new world order, FEMA camps, Agenda 2030, and this is like the thing that's like, at the top of your list of priorities to worry about, let me tell you something, you are exactly where they want you. It's because I got people like commenting now and you're actually against, like someone just said, how is this different to the one world religion? You guys, you need to go deeper. A lot of people think they're awake because they read a book, or because, like, see the books behind me? I have been reading books for years. I've got books here. I never throw a book out. Because every book is dualistic. There is truth in everything, and there's also deception in everything. This is something you need to when your heart is open, you're going to start to realize your discernment will show you, like, focus on this and not that. Focus on this and not that. And I've got books up there about everything. I've got books about all these things that you guys talk about, like as if you guys just realized it yesterday. I grew up around adults who were onto it. Like I grew up around adults who were talking about the New World Order and like all the end world, doom and gloom prophecies. I mean, I heard it my whole upbringing. It's amazing how everyone's like, oh, everyone's fallen for a psyop. Everyone's fallen for a psyop. I have the truth and they're deceived. I have the truth, but they're fallen for a psyop. Like, we need to stop this. Like, we've all, to some degree, fallen for psyopses. The amount of people that say, for example, like, oh, you guys have been deceived because you believe in chakras and that's Lucifer deceiving you. And, these really self-righteous, fundamentalist Christians that it's like, you think we haven't heard this like our whole lives? Like, you think that I haven't been hearing people say this my whole life? I'm now 41 and people are telling me like I've never heard it before. It's just bizarre. Like, just try not to be, just listen. Like, and just consider the possibility that maybe you have been deceived. Nobody wants to think that they've been deceived. But when you can admit, maybe I'm deceived, that's when growth, because that's humility. That's when you'll start to experience growth. As soon as you think that you're the only person that's not been deceived and everyone else has been deceived by the devil and you're the only one that hasn't, you've got the whole truth because you own a Bible and you read it every day. I mean, gosh, we have to move on for this. This is old. This is expired. Let's expire this now. Let's go forward and let's actually get out of this whole blind belief thing where we just blindly believe stuff without knowing, without the consciousness of knowing. There's a difference between knowing and believing. There's a massive difference. It's kind of like, I use this example. Let's just say you have a $5 bill in your pocket, a $5 note, and someone comes up to you and says, give me that $5 note. Are you going to give it to them? You're probably not going to give it to them, right? You're probably going to be like, no, that's my $5. I'm going to keep it. It's not yours. Now, if that person comes up to you instead and says, I have a $100 note here and let's do an exchange. I'll give you a $100 note and you give me a $5 note. How's that? Are you gonna give the $5 note over, or are you gonna hold on to it? You're probably gonna give it over because you're gonna get $95 out of the exchange. So the reason why I use that analogy is because when you are holding on to a belief, right? Because it's the best thing you've got. It's the best thing you've come across. It might be something you've discovered, something you grew up with, whatever. You're not going to give it up easy. You're not going to give it up. You're not going to just give up your beliefs because your identity is probably tied to it, right? And you probably will lose, if you were just to give up what you believe today, you'll probably lose, self-esteem. You'll probably lose a bit of self-identity. It's not something that you can easily do. But if something comes along and because you're open-minded enough to keep looking and you come across something that makes 100 bazillion times more sense because it's something that you can verify yourself. It's not something that you have to just blindly believe. It's like a toolbox that you've picked up and now you yourself can discover the truth. And that's essentially what syncretism is. But syncretism is about taking everything and layering it over and seeing where things fit and where they don't, like language, etymology, eschatology, astrology, theology. You're layering all these things and you're seeing how things fit together and you're realizing for yourself, oh my gosh, this is, and it's you'll never go back. For starters, once you get to that level, you'll never ever go back to blind belief. You'll never ever, you'll feel so silly ever regurgitating something you read somewhere or heard somewhere that you don't know for sure yourself because you haven't verified it from multiple different vantage points, right? Because if something is true, it has to be true from multiple angles. So when you get to that level, and that's why syncretism it is definitely, once you go syncretism, you will never go back to one ideology. You'll realize how foolish that is. But syncretism, it doesn't end there either, because there are a lot of people that do syncretism that are still blinded, but they're definitely smarter than the average person, for sure, but they're still blinded. And that's because at the end of the day, the key is the heart. And I know it sounds endearing to say that, but the key is the heart. The heart unlocks wisdom. It unlocks the ability to discern. So once you've combined discernment with syncretism, that's it. Like, it's just, you'll never, ever resort to blind belief. You'll feel so foolish for ever just regurgitating something, you know, that you heard or read somewhere just because you've decided, I'm going to follow this religion, I'm going to follow this belief. You can have any background and you can do this from any background. The only thing you need to do is you need to have humility, and you need to not be scared to suspend what you believe to entertain another ideology that you might currently disagree with. So I think Mark Twain said that the mark of an intelligent mind is the ability to entertain a thought without accepting it. So if you can entertain a thought without accepting it, instead of thinking, oh no, is this blasphemous for me to listen to this? Or is this like evil? Or am I entertaining luciferic, demonic ideas? You know, like as soon as you're thinking like that, you're gone. You're just gone. If you can suspend what you believe and entertain another idea that you might not currently agree with, you're not committing to agreeing with it. You're not making a commitment. You're not getting married to a new idea. You don't have to worry about that. Just have the ability to suspend what you believe. It's such a simple thing, but it requires humility, and it's clearly something a lot of people have a problem with. And like I said, if you have a problem with doing that, you're going to have a really hard time staying relevant, because we're entering a new age now. This is a new age, and there is something changing in the ether, and the heart is the antenna. So if your heart's closed, your antenna is, you don't have an antenna, and you're just basically, in a way, it's frustrating because we want everyone to know the truth. And every single day I do feel frustrated that there's so many people that reject the truth and that they're so blind. But at the end of the day, it's also kind of a beautiful thing that the truth is sort of concealed from people who are closed-hearted. In a way, like when you think about it, it's actually kind of a beautiful thing. If you've got a hard heart and your heart is closed and you're judgmental and you're self-righteous and you're egocentric and all that stuff, guess what you miss out on? You miss out on wisdom. You miss out on truth. So if you want it, start to do the heart work. Start purifying your thoughts and your heart. Start purging your heart of the bad stuff, and keep the good stuff, because we all have good stuff. We're all dualistic. We all have a good side. We all have good qualities. That's why when there's all these like rituals, right, like 9/11 and 8/11, right, and whatever else they might be planning, when people say, oh, humanity needs a wake-up call, when people say something like, I've seen people say it, like I saw someone say that if 8/11 happens, it will be a good thing. And I know where people are coming from when they say that, because they're like, oh, humanity needs a wake-up call. But you guys, like, if you think like that, if you think that we need like catastrophic events to take place to wake up, you need to check yourself. Firstly, that's not right. Like, it's not right to think that, because that means that people, like, there are people that are going to die and suffer for other people to wake up. That's not right. That's collective punishment. That's not right. Secondly, is your imagination not that big enough that you can't imagine that there is a better way, that there is another way for humanity to wake up, but there is another way for humanity to snap out of the trance that we're in? There is a better way. There is another way. I'm not even ready to talk about what that way is yet, even though it's actually right in your face. Hollywood has been telling you over and over again in Hollywood movies, it's actually in the movies. That other way is there in your face, just that you can't identify it yet. You can't see it because you just think it's all entertainment, it's just a story, and it's just a movie, it's just a fictional character, and da 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 da. So you don't see it yet, but there is another way, and I'm not going to get into it now, but that other way comes as a result of this being open and this being open. So this has to be open and this has to be open as well. They get us here when they bring us down into fear consciousness. And this is the thing, like, a lot of you guys, you have backgrounds in the Truther movement and the freedom movement, and your programming has told you, oh no, don't speak out, they'll come for you. They'll come for you. Look at me and Doris. Has anyone come for us? Have we had anyone come to our house? Have we had any journalists write any articles about us? Has any of this stuff happened? Nothing. Nothing has happened. We've been doing all this talking and all these videos and all this posting, and we're fine. They have programmed you to fear, so that even like once, if you can unlock this, they've locked you here. And that's why, you know, at Vivid, right? So at the Vivid Light Festival in Sydney, what they did was they had 3 nights of the drone show. They had a Saturday, a Sunday, and then the following Saturday. So it was 3 nights, and it went from 9:10 to 9:20. Was it 9:10 to 9:20? So it was like 1 to 11. It was 1 to 11, like numerologically 1 to 11. Now, as soon as I saw that, I knew 1 to 11. What does that mean? What do these 3 nights represent? They represent 3 chakras that take you from 1 to 11. That's heart, throat, and third eye. That's not the pineal, the thalamus. So the first night, and it was exactly, so the first night went ahead, right? So that symbolizes, okay, if you can open your heart, okay, fine. But we're going to trap you here. So what did they do the second night? They did a really bad job at crowd control. So everyone felt trapped, and so that they could put it on the news and be like, everyone felt trapped. They felt like they couldn't breathe. Like they were, you know, the words couldn't breathe, trapped, da 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 da. That's because the second night was the throat chakra. So they were putting out the symbolism about trapping you at the throat. Trap, couldn't breathe, right? What did they do the third night? They cancelled the show, the drone show, 20 minutes before the drone show started, over weather. And of course, then the news presented it as all these people came all the way to the city, and then they cancelled it 20 minutes before, and all the people are complaining because the weather turned out to be fine, and everyone's going, yeah, the weather turned out to be fine, and it was unjustified, and we came all this way, and you have all these. So that's symbolism for cancelling this. So, you know, if you can get here, they try to trap you there. If you can get through this, like Doris and I have, then eventually when the time comes, because it's all about timing, because we're at the end of the cycle, so who knows when this timing is, but then you can go here. And then this, once you reach this is how you wake up humanity. Not everyone has to have this activated to wake up, but if a certain amount of people activate this, we're talking about seeing things that were only things that we ever saw in movies. We're talking about a manipulation of matter. We're talking about the breaking of natural law. You think that people couldn't have a life-changing experience by witnessing the breaking of natural law in this realm? Like, of course, that's how you wake. That's how we're going to wake people up. That's how we're going to snap people out of their trance. That's how it's going to happen. People are going to be totally wowed. We don't need these mass murder rituals where, you know, innocents have to die in order to wake up. How does that even make any sense, that all these innocent people need to die in order for all these other people to wake up? Does that even make any sense? If that's your mentality, firstly, your imagination is so small, and secondly, you're basically aligning yourself with the demiurge, not the compassionate, merciful God. God is compassionate and merciful. In fact, I'm sure that God's heart breaks constantly at the state of humanity, at the state of where we are. Like, I actually feel so much empathy, and I feel like for God, because I'm like, how crap is our like, how unconscious, how so many people are unconscious in this reality, and that must break. If it breaks my heart, it breaks God's heart to see how many unconscious people there are. And it must break it 100 times worse, because all energy is God's. All energy belongs to God. And so that means that we all must be like a speck or a drop of the ocean of God. And if we're alive and we're breathing and animating our bodies and we are unconscious, then we're basically handing ourselves over to the unconscious realm. And like, that's the whole thing. Their whole lives, they've been keeping us at the soul from going above the solar plexus and keeping it down, 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 so that we're stuck down and we're not going up. And that's been the game. The game is, can we slip through the cracks? Are they going to get everyone? And those who have the ability to see the subconscious, the subliminal messages that they give us, the language, if you can begin to read the language they speak to us in and bring it out of the subliminal into the conscious awareness of people, it's a sign that you are slipping through the crack. And by doing that, and I've always wondered, how many people does it take? How many people does it take to wake up for humanity to be, and I'm now learning it doesn't take that many. All it needs is a small amount of people to do it, to get here, to open up, to close that unconscious portal, to fully open up that wisdom portal, then activate this, right? Because you got to get through the fear. The fear that keeps us from activating this is strong. Like, we need to get through that. Once we get through that, now we can help others repeat the same process. And if you look at our Telegram group, there's thousands of people in there. Like, there's so many people that resonate, and they can see the symbolism, and it's unlocking. It's making their whole lives make sense. It's making so much make sense. It all comes together. It's a whole different experience. When some of you trolls come here and say, "Oh, it's a cult," you obviously just got here and haven't spent more than 5 minutes looking into this, because it's the furthest thing from a cult. It's breaking you out of the cult. When you reach this level of awareness, you are no longer in any cult. You could never go back to joining a cult, because now you're realizing things for yourself. And you're not relying on someone telling you something and just blindly just believing it because someone said it, because you read it in a book. That consciousness is now dead in you. Like, you will never go back to that. Because now you can read the language. Now you're understanding the language that they've been speaking to you. It's like living in a country where for 5 years, where they're speaking to you in a certain language and you can't understand it, and now suddenly you can understand it. How liberating and empowering. And so many of you who are in the group are going through this experience. Like, you're feeling so empowered. For every negative trolling message or comment I get like 10 super positive comments from people whose lives are literally like changing and turning around. They're actually, like, the comments I get, the messages I get from people, they're starting to understand why it's so important to, like, the really basic stuff in life that people usually overlook, like the heart stuff, forgiving people who have done you wrong, healing your childhood traumas, all this kind of stuff. People are realizing, wow, this is key. This is really important that I go back and I let go of resentment and bitterness towards, these people from my past. This isn't a little thing. This is everything. This is actually like almost everything. There's other things too. There's charity. There's living in service to others. There's not living selfishly, being conscientious, being caring, being humble, being patient, being understanding, being able to put yourself in the shoes of other people and understand where they're coming from. There's so many different elements, and I would say that if you want to learn about the purification of the heart, the religion that sort of specializes in that is Islam. So if you find like an Islamic bookshop or something like that, you'll find heaps and heaps and heaps of books about the heart. And I know a lot of you are going, but Islam is like this, like, bad religion. Okay, well, the thing is, the reason why that Islam is such a controversial religion is because the heart is, there are two different hearts. There is the human heart, which is dualistic, and then there's the higher heart, which is benefic. And so because Islam is about the heart, you're going to have, you got the Quran, and then you got the Hadith, and you got the fact that everything is coded. It's the way it is. You've got the exoteric understanding, the esoteric. There's all these things to consider. But at the end of the day, the heart is the key. And that's why Jesus had to, in the story of Jesus, again, I'm not religious, but Jesus had to be baptized by John the Baptist. And the Christians, they kind of sweep John the Baptist to the side. Like, he's just this off-screen character. He just happened to dunk Jesus under the water. Like, no one wants to really talk about why was John the Baptist so important. Why was he born from a miraculous conception? Why was it important that he was born from not an immaculate, but a miraculous conception? Why is this character is clearly very important, but it's also not important at the same time, because all the focus is on Jesus and not John. It's because John's the heart. And so the heart, everyone's missing that. And so John the Baptist is nothing. Okay. So don't speak on behalf of Christians. Okay, Dominic. All right. This is crazy. Dominic, are you denying that John the Baptist was born from a miraculous conception? Was he born of a miraculous conception or not? Yes or no? You are not theological. Dominic, I went to Bible college. I literally went to Bible college. You don't even need to go to Bible college to know this. Do you see what I'm saying, guys? Even people that are Christians, they're missing this. They're totally missing this. And they will say things to you like, all you need is Jesus, 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 Jesus. Well, even Jesus needed John the Baptist. So what was John the Baptist? Again, go and watch the film Heart of Stone. It's in there. Like, symbolically, it's a film on Netflix. It's called Heart of Stone. It's about, you've got a group called the Charter, and they're guided by the heart. The Charter is the soul. The heart, well, is the heart. The soul is guided by the heart upwards. If the heart is closed, the soul is locked in the solar plexus. That's how it works. And it's either going to sit there and it's going to go down, and you're never going to become fully human. You're never going to become a fully activated human. You've got all this dormant DNA sitting in you, and it's just dormant, and you're not going to activate it if your heart is closed. And if it's literally spiritual bypassing. I was saying it to someone today. In New York, they didn't rebuild both Twin Towers. They only rebuilt the one that represents Jupiter. They didn't rebuild the one that represents Venus. There's a reason for that. And that is a classic example of spiritual bypassing. When you focus on the 9, right? So the 9, that's why 9/11 wasn't as much of a big deal as they planned 8/11 to be. Because 9, it's like giving someone a safe full of $1 million and not giving them the key to unlock the safe. You're like, here you go. Here's $1 million locked up in a safe, but we're not going to give you the code, and we're not going to give you the key, right? What is that $1 million worth if you can't even access it? That's what spiritual bypassing is. So 9/11 is a ritual that represents something that you can't access until you've gone through 8, because we're in 7, and to get to 9, we have to go through 8. So 8 is the more important number. And so the 9 represents the divine masculine full activation of dormant DNA. And so that's when you can manipulate matter. But you can't reach that without the 8. The 8 is the heart. If your heart is closed, and this is why, it doesn't matter what religion or what your mentality is, but it's just it's interesting that Christians, there is so much arrogance and so much judgment. Like, it's so weird. Like I said, guys, if you're a Christian, you call yourself a Christian, please go and buy one of those bands that says, what would Jesus do? Please go and do it, because you, more than anyone, need that band. Because, and I'm not saying all Christians, but there's so many of you guys that are not doing what Jesus would do. Like, you're being so...
Would Jesus create a meme of 2 women and, like, bag them out? Would Jesus do that?
Yeah, exactly.
It's just like, it's hypocrisy at its finest. And also want to mention, if you want to call us fearmongers, you got to also consider that Bishop Mari, who also claimed that Australia was going to get hit by a nuclear weapon. So if you're going to call us a fearmonger, then you have to call him a fearmonger too, because he practically said the same thing. So again, sorry, continue, Annette.
Yeah, anyway, so yeah, going back to the heart, I don't remember where I was, but like the heart, yeah, I mean you've got it. I mean, the heart is the key, and that's that. Like, and don't bypass the heart. And when you get stuck in the intellect, yeah, and so many religious people do it. It's kind of crazy actually. Like the heart is so undervalued. And at the end of the day, even the Bible says the meek will inherit the earth. That's what's going to happen. The meek will inherit the earth. There's going to be a flip. The script will flip. This is the beginning of the script flipping. So if you've been up in the head and, you know, and it's all very left-brained, it's all very legalistic, it's all about information, but the heart is kind of just dead. There's nothing going on down here, you know. There's no like compassion and service. So, you know, you're missing all those elements of the heart, and you're just bypassing with information. And like the internet is so saturated with this stuff. It's so saturated with it, and it's nauseating at this point, honestly. And that's going to change now. We're entering into a new age, a whole new age. We're going to start seeing people become irrelevant. People who have been irrelevant, we're going to start to see them become relevant. And it's about time. It's just like, it's about time. I'm excited for it.
Yeah. Well, I think we should wrap it up because I think it's a lot for people to digest and process, and we don't want to give them too much in one go. But yeah, highly recommend if you're new here, go onto the White Pills page, go into the Telegram group, and just sift through all the information. In our Telegram group, actually, I created a section called announcements, important announcements. And in there, I've basically put all the important stuff that you need to look at as like a prerequisite into like actually comprehending all of this and what we talk about. And I know Annette talks about planets and numbers and stuff. And maybe it might go over your head a bit, but when you look at that information, it'll help you understand what she's referring to, so you're not so lost. And don't expect to get it in like one day. Like people want to look at it. Oh, yep. Oh, no, this is rubbish. Like literally, that's what people do. We see people come into the group. I see da-da-da has joined, and then I'm not even kidding. Half an hour later, they're like, I went through all the stuff, and yeah, it's just rubbish. It doesn't make sense. It's like, honey, half an hour. There's like hours and hours and hours of content you need to get through. How the hell did you go through all of that in half an hour? Like you're still blocking yourself off, and you're telling yourself that you went through it. You're lying to yourself. Like this is what I'm seeing. It's so obvious.
And if you're really like genuine and you're genuinely seeking the truth, which there are plenty of people doing that, because every day I get comments, messages from people going, I just found you a week ago. I went through your stuff. It resonates so much, you know, blah, 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 blah. And so if you're one of those genuine people and not one of these trolls, you just go to my highlights in my Instagram, and I'm at number 38. And yeah, I mean, you can go back however far you want. You can go back to 1. I know there's a lot to go through, but it's really all there. So the thing is that I can't keep dumbing down the message. Like it's hard to keep dumbing down the message for people that are new, because then people who have been following me for ages, they're not learning anything new because they're just hearing me repeat myself. So you know, my recommendation is like if a lot of what I said sort of just goes over your head and hard to grasp, make the time to go through my old highlights. And yeah, I mean, what I'm going to do now, like going forward, is going back to what I was doing before I clocked onto November 8, because November 8 had to become a priority. It had to be. And so it sort of became like the thing that I only posted about and nothing else, because it was so important. But before that, I was posting about, I was just decoding movies. And like I said, once you know how to decode the movies, you can decode reality, you can decode architecture, you can decode media. So there's no like barrier between it. And this is what makes it so, it's like, there's no barrier. So I might end up detecting something else that's going to, you know, that's been planned to happen. Who knows what's going to happen? But I'm going to try to go back to decoding films And yeah, so to make sense of like things that I'll look at new stuff, old stuff. And yes, 811 is obviously going to come up a lot because the new stuff has a lot of 8s and 11s and all that kind of stuff because we're coming into the end of the age. Like I said, 811 is so much more than a date. It was the date, November 8, was just a date for a planned ritual. It wasn't the deepest meaning of 811. 811 is eternal. It's something that we're gonna see and talk about for years and years to come. So yeah, but I will be going back to that, and yeah, I hope you guys enjoy, because there's so much that I've wanted to decode, but I had to just put a hold on everything to focus on November 8th. So yeah, so that's what's coming. So there you go. That's all I have to say.
All right. Well, we'll wrap it up now. Thanks for those who stayed, who respected and listened and humbled themselves and didn't, clog up the comment sections with their ignorance. And yeah, I look forward to seeing what else we can, learn from you, Annette, and
Well,
what uncover.
Well, I have to say, we are learning together. Like, this is such a feedback loop, because when I post something, like, it's such a team effort. Like, I'll post something and then I get feedback on it and I get people going, oh, there's also this, there's also that, because it's syncretism. So there's people from different religions, there's people from different ideologies, different backgrounds, different languages. And then you guys, and it's like this big, it's just so amazing, because there's no way, if I was just doing it on my own without posting what I was doing, that I would learn. Like, this is such a team effort. It's such a beautiful community. And yeah, if you guys have like, like, everyone's got something to share. Here we go. Santos Bonacci Santos was one of, like, he was really the beginning. Santos Bonacci, like, when I got into syncretism like 10 years ago, 11 years ago, 12 years ago, he was like, yeah, he was totally pivotal in starting to learn. Like, his YouTube channel's disappeared, unfortunately, but it was, yeah, it's kind of devastating actually, because the amount of incredible stuff that was on there. And it definitely is harder now to learn syncretism from scratch because of the fact that his YouTube channel has disappeared, and I can't recommend the same videos I used to recommend people because they're gone. So it's a shame, but if you're part of the Telegram group and if you're following me, people are picking up on how to do it anyway. Like, there's different ways of learning, so you guys will pick up on it, and so many of you are picking up on it. It's really amazing. Like, it's so exciting to watch you guys get so activated and go down your own rabbit holes, and just with a little bit of like picking up the tools and learning how to use those tools. And yeah, and together as a team, there's no way we could accomplish what we've been accomplishing if we weren't doing it as a team. There's no way, because syncretism involves so many different things. Like, okay, someone like Santos, obviously he's a multi-linguist, like he speaks 7 languages and all that kind of stuff. Most people don't have those abilities. They can't. I only speak 1.5 languages, Doris speaks what, 2.5 or 3?
3, yeah.
And I've got a background in Christianity, and I know a little bit about Bhagavad Gita. I'm reading the Quran. Like, some of you guys you'll be Muslim, or you'll be Buddhist, or you'll be Hindu, and you've got the kind of like background in your religion that I have in mine, like the same level of knowledge, and then I'll say something, and then someone with a background in something will go, oh, that fits perfectly in with this. Or someone that knows a lot about ancient civilizations, or whatever it is. It doesn't have to be a religion. And yeah, it's really, really exciting. So if that stuff excites you, please, yeah, keep watching my stories and join the group.
All right, guys, let's say goodnight, everyone, and yeah, look forward to the future chats and collaborations and stuff. And yeah, thanks for sticking out this long. Much love, and thank you for your support as well, like all the messages, and for seeing us for who we are, seeing through all the negative stuff that's being said. It's really warmed my heart to how many actually amazing people there are out there, aren't easily deceived by angry people. Yeah. Anyway, well, thanks, Annette. It's nice. It was a great chat.